I'd like to bring the Bridgton Planning Board meeting for June 26, 2023 to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to start tonight's meeting by taking some nominations for chair.
I'll nominate Deb.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Is that right?
Any other nominations?
I won't jump.
Okay.
Dee, anything? Nominations for chair?
I heard the nomination in the second.
It's okay.
I can sing a song if you like.
I just didn't know if you had any other nominations. That's what I said.
No, I have none.
Get a vote?
Yeah, we
This
gotta
is where you
vote, and we
confused
gotta
me.
do the next.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you gotta do all
All in favor? 5-0.
5-0. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your continued
Very well.
faith in my abilities. Or ability to punish me. Okay, so I'll open the floor for, after I raise this chair up a little bit.
You might have the bad one, because you'll find out soon. It's a roller coaster.
This one will stay up. I'll open the floor for nominations for vice chair. Dan?
I'll nominate Ralph for vice chair.
Okay. Any more nominations for vice chair? All in favor? You're allowed to vote for yourself. 5-0. If you don't vote for
I'm not
yourself.
sure.
He's like, I don't know about that one.
Just for future reference, in nominations, you don't actually need a second. You just need to nominate.
Okay.
Robert's rules. Okey dokey. A little organized here. So next order of business is approval of the minutes of June 12th. I'd accept a motion to approve those minutes. Moved by Mr. Harden. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Miller. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. 5-0. Next, I'd accept a motion to accept the June 15th, 2023 site walk minutes. Moved by Mr. Harden, seconded by Ms. Miller. Any discussion? I just mentioned that I did note that Laura Lee added some items, probably around noon time, because there are a few things that were left off, which I had sent her, my notes from the meeting. So just to make sure the board knows about that. Anything else? All in favor? 5-0. Okay, and I see we have all 5 regular members here. Welcome, Angie.
Thank you.
And welcome back, everybody else.
Kathy?
Here comes Kathy.
And Ms. DiPietro, our alternate. Perfect timing. May participate in all proceedings, including making motions, but just may not vote. All right. Next on the agenda is Maker's Mill, Portland Road, map 23, lots 108 and 109, for a public hearing. Before I open the hearing, just as a review, we had our first meeting in May, I believe, and called a public hearing and a site walk then. We had the site walk on the 15th. And so now we're here for the meeting. I'll just note that there were a number of items that the board requested, and the applicant hasn't had time to submit those items. So I think my recommendation would be we don't close the hearing till we have the items requested. So that's it. Is there anybody who wishes to recuse themselves or make any disclosures? All right. Standing and notices have been given, and I think that's it. So in terms of rules of procedure, what we'll do is the applicant, his engineer, and Mr. MacGyver will give us a brief summary of the project. And then we'll open it up to the public to ask questions. And then when the public's done, we'll go to the board. So there is in your packet as well, or not in the packet, on the OneDrive, there is a file that lists the items that the board requested. And the site walk, there were a few more, so just so you know that. Okay, so floor is yours.
Madam Chairman.
Yeah. Oh, and I'll open the hearing, sorry.
Thank you. Because of the complexity of this project, when the applicant goes through, can they go through their project overview with more detail than normally would happen?
Go through what?
With more detail than normal.
Yeah, we have a
What?
project overview. Well,
Overview.
there's lots of different things all happening at once in this particular project. And I just want to make sure, do you use your discretion on what it is? But, you know, we have, this is what the project is, this broad overview. And there's buildings being torn down, there's walls being put up, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm fine with it if the rest of the board, consensus of the rest of the board is the same. That good for everybody? Okay, so your discretion.
Yeah, please feel free, right? Any specific questions about anything?
I would only
Yeah.
say that we want to go to the public first for questions, so we want to make sure we have time for that.
Exactly.
Deb, so do you want me to kind of reintroduce, just like I did last meeting, in a sense of the project
Yeah,
overview?
reintroduce
again?
yeah, go right ahead, introduce the project, because we do have, looks like, we do have some people on the OneDrive, so, not on the OneDrive, on the Zoom. People on the OneDrive would be really exciting. So, yeah, make sure you go over the project and in sufficient detail that, you know, we understand what's being changed on the site and what's being built and,
Yeah,
What's being torn down?
you
right.
have a laser
what-
pointer?
Meaning what's being torn down, right.
Yeah.
Okay,
good point.
so, all
It's
yours.
pointer?
Until we get around.
Okay, here we go, thank you. I'm Justin MacGyver from Maine Eco Homes. I have some of my teammates here tonight, supporters, and wouldn't be possible without the support of my team. So we're excited to introduce this project. It's a significant, right, project in Bridgton. Super excited about this, been a long time in the making. Just honored and thankful to be able to do this and be able to get a lot of feedback from a lot of different people. And this was a shared vision project from multiple organizations and town staff, and you know, had some ideas and got a lot of feedback and had many group gatherings with different folks of all walks of life, and to kind of see what Bridgton was looking for and what Bridgton wanted. And this is what we came up with, and it's super exciting. It's tying in history, bringing back history, which is super important, right, to pay respect towards history. So we have two historical buildings that are going to replace one building, which is the old stone surface building at 247 Main Street, or the old A&P building that is in very, very poor condition and unsalvageable. So that will be getting removed. It's unhealthy to even step foot into that building. And there's a lot of, we've already removed a lot of asbestos, and we're just getting it cleaned up for removal. There's a lot of stone dust and granite from all the granite down below. The whole basement's full of it. So we'll be replacing that with two new historical modern buildings that fit today's needs, and both are safe to be in and clean and to code and ADA and all the other requirements. So those two buildings are going to be a train station, a brewery, because Depot Street used to be, you know, where the train station used to be down at the end of Depot Street. So we want to bring that back, and with the train mural in the background, it's going to be really cool because you can see that through some of the glass and on Main Street. So that brew pub will be a restaurant and a brewery, and the other building, and that's going to replicate pretty identical to what used to be at the end of Depot Street. So we work with the Historical Society and are trying to replicate the identical building to what was out back there. So we're super excited about bringing that. We'll have historical exhibits in the facility as well as out on the front lawn that you can look at that show what used to be the original building and what's there today, and it's going to tell a story. So everything we're doing here is about an experience and telling stories and a multi-generational where the past can live with the modern. And the other larger building, the Maker's Mill, is it's replicating the old Pondicherry Mill out of the features of the mill that used to be at Food City. It used to be a wooling mill with over 200 and something workers in there, employees, and making wool. So we figured let's bring that back, and today's makers of skilled craftsmen, local people with skills, and that could go inside of this and have co-op space as well as individual units, and it could be a starter for somebody that makes whatever, knickknacks, crafters that can come in here and have a presence to be able to show their craft. I think that's really important, and part of revitalizing the town is you have to start small and give local skilled people a platform to be able to show their product and go downtown where they can buy, sell, trade their goods and products, and give them that incubator space. So we have a kind of incubator space going into the Maker's Mill, and then we have the tower that replicates the old tower, identical to the Pondicherry Mill tower. And then, so on the first floor will be retail space, and then the second floor will be residential apartments, which is mixed use, which is consistent with the comprehensive plan, and it's also a way to get more foot traffic in the downtown because the shops need that foot traffic. So a way to get more people walking in town is you have to have places to live in town. So we're incorporating into all these projects housing as well, which is much needed. And then the third, so we are, well, the courtyard area, we work with the Historical Society on that of what used to be there. There used to be kind of like a open area back in the past on this site, so we wanted to incorporate that green space. It's also very inviting. There's not much green space along Main Street, so we created a water fountain feature and green space in the middle that can be a common area for the public as a park. And just inviting, and kind of the way we work with the architect to be able to see through to the back street, which Depot Street is basically another main street. It's really important as well to not just have a single main street in a town. You have to have these side streets to sustain long-term in a community. So we also have a music stage in the middle of the courtyard area, and we plan to play free movies at nighttime on the back of the stage for kids, and then also have more music events throughout the year, both winter and summer and all 4 seasons. Sitting areas, we're going to have pathways. So this area here is more historical, so the vision is to bring it back in times. So the lighting, we're going to go to much softer lighting in this area, and working on doing some cobblestone, and so when you step on the site, maybe some open flame torch or something here or there. So when you come onto the site, you really feel like you're going a little bit back in time. Is kind of the vision over here. And everything will be an experience, right? Bridgton's an experience town, not an errand town, right? This is a destination town, and this is going to be a destination place for sure. And then the third building in the back is a mixed use as well, with a market cafe, more retail shops, and apartments on the second floor. So that also faces Depot Street as a storefront, and then the backside of the Maker's Mill faces Depot Street, and the train station, the brewery, faces Depot Street as well. So every building has a side, right? Everything has a front. So we're trying to utilize all sides as being a front, which is also important in architect and design. So wherever you are on the property, it's going to feel like you're on the front side of the building. And then in the back of the building, we are going to have shops along the river. That's planned. We've been working with LEA as well as the Luneco Land Trust on trail connectivity, and I know the town's been working with a master planner on all the trail connectivity, so it's really important to incorporate all of the trail system into this so people can have that experience trail. We do plan to have some outdoor, maybe exercise stuff, and it's not on this plan, but in the lawn, and, you know, maybe some places for kids to play, or playground, or rock, you know, rope course, or something that's more interactive too. And then the trailhead will be there too. You can go along the shops, and you can go to the left and go over the bridge. Plan to do a footbridge over the brook to the additional parking over on the Paris Farmers Union site. And that trail goes all the way up to Highland Lake, which is the trailhead, and then going down to Long Lake, it goes across the Big Apple behind that and goes all the way down to Long Lake. So that's Stevens Brook Trail. It's about I think a 2-mile trail, and that's what created Bridgton, was that brook. So it's really important for people to understand, and right, it's amazing when you go back there. So many people have never been back there. So once you go back there, you're like, wow, I didn't know this was here. And so really revamping the trail system is going to be a key element to not only this project, but Bridgton's future trail connectivity everywhere. And the trail could be a top thing to do in Bridgton. It's already phenomenal, you know, over at the park, and the covered bridge that's existing. So we want to just connect that all with shops too, and be an experience trail. So yeah, we worked with artists, groups. We plan to do some some murals, interactive murals, where you know, you can do photo ops and take selfie pictures, and you know, probably have things about Bridgton on those. We're working with local artists on that to do more tasteful murals on the buildings, on the end of the Potter Place building, and then in the where the tower is on the Maker's Mill, there's a tunnel that you go through into the public restrooms that will have a wall mural inside of that as well. And then got some feedback, maybe, you know, from the town manager, that maybe this becomes you know, a street that we close off. So we showed some bollards, or you know, at the end of the street, that Depot Street, and this could be outdoor market too. This could be part of the farmers market, or an extension as well as possibly you could do some, you know, outdoor events such as Music on Main, and have your food vendors parked along the street and close off both sections of that street. Just gives it a bigger festival type area. So that was taken into consideration when we were laying out all the designs of this project as well. But yeah, we're basically taking down vacant buildings, condemned pretty much. There's one business left that we're trying to work really hard to put wherever we can. We've given several options for the florist, and working with him. But that building, that property is going to be coming down and getting replaced as well. So there's, I think, 1, 2, 3, was there 3 structures
Yeah.
that are on the 1, 2,
Just on this lot?
yeah, on that lot.
So there's,
Those are existing. So we are keeping the Mainly Melts, formerly Ricky's Diners property. We are keeping that structure, as well as the Potter Place behind it. Those are staying in place. We're doing some renovations right now to the Potter's Place, creating shops on that as well, to carry the theme here of a shopping street. There's a lot of existing parking along the street that we're continuing with that. And then we're adding a 47 lot, which is a significant size parking lot. I think the town office here is like 60. It's close to the size of this town office for a community parking lot here as well. We do expect a lot of foot traffic. It's already increasing in town, and that's what we want, right? I used to be on the community development committee, and it was always, how do you get people to stop, you know, in Bridgton, and now we're giving them several reasons to stop and more. And we're becoming a destination town, so you're going to see a lot more people walking around, which helps with traffic as well as parking. And it's actually a good thing too. We're going to have plenty of parking here, but it's actually a good thing. I know it might not be convenient for some to pull up to a front door, But you don't want that in town. You want people to walk past other businesses to do their shopping. It's, you know, studying this and what makes successful towns is this is what you need to do, is you need to increase foot traffic throughout the town. So just, right, I asked to keep an open mind about that as well. And, yeah, I think, yeah, what else was I gonna say? What else? Shapes, historical lighting, cobblestone. So, but yeah, it'll be good to get rid of, you know, these buildings that pose risk. We just had an incident not too long ago too that was unsafe, and so we're trying to, you know, unsafe buildings, they put people at risks of illnesses and accidents, molds, pests, radon, asthma, lung cancer, all these. So, you know, that's part of taking into consideration too of what work environment we're in, as well as where we live and work. People don't think about that as much as what's behind the walls, what's in things, and things that you can't just mitigate easily. So that's all taken into consideration, as well as safety and structural safety. You know, it's really important too for children. I'm just going to go up another level, but children need to have a good, healthy experience here. If they're seeing condemned, rundown properties, right, they're gonna get that at home too, and that's what causes a lot of problems in the households if they're around stuff. So we're really excited about making more improvements here, because it's so important for children to see improvements in a structure and good things, positive things happening. Because if they're always seeing that just dying dead, that causes problems at their household, which increases many problems between mentally and abuse and drugs. And so there's a bigger part element that's happening in this community. But it's what they see, touch, taste, and smell is really important. So that's all taken into consideration here. So yeah, we're excited to do this, and I'm sure there's a lot of questions that need to be asked, and I just think it's important that this was known that this is what's best for Bridgton, what's not best for me, Justin, or my company, or anything. This is what we've come up with as a group and as a community, and yeah, we're really excited to hopefully launch this in the springtime. Would be great. Justin, who owns the Queen's Head Pub, is planning to run and operate the brewery, and that was part of the plan, is taking the tanks out of the existing restaurant, which you know, good thing he did, because those seats down below are so important that there wouldn't have been much seating for dining, and you know, we made that change to be able to create a separate
So just,
brewery.
I didn't quite hear who you said was taking over the brewery?
The Queen's Head Pub,
Okay.
the same owner,
Yep.
is going to be running. The plan is to work with him on this, and he said he could have filled it ×2 the other day with the amount of people that he couldn't serve at his restaurant. So there's definitely a demand for this as well, where you can actually taste what you're drinking that's being made right on site, right? And Bridgton doesn't have a brewery as well, and this is what people want today. It's the modern things that help revitalize a town and help attract people to come to towns. Is all of the stuff that we're doing is what people want, and this is where people want to live with amenities like this. And we're doing it right, very tastefully and cautiously, and a lot of local made, Maine-made is what we're working with for businesses coming in here. We're very selective of who comes in here to make sure it's the right fit for the community. So that's being all taken into consideration. And from a numbers perspective, we're, you know, basically subsidizing the stuff to happen, because it's very hard to make projects like this happen and work in a town. But it can be done, and we're showing it can be done, and this town will be modeled after, you know, as we keep doing projects like this, and other people doing great projects, and other organizations doing the murals. All that stuff's just fantastic. So so increasing, you know, common space, public space, promoting and improving arts and culture, which is really important. You know, building a stronger community for all ages, We're improving nightlife. It was really nice, right? Now, more stuff to do at night, well-lit areas, safe cameras, security cameras everywhere, on every corner. We'll have this monitored fully everywhere. And we are removing the back building that's existing. We're gonna remove that and pull it away from the brook, so further away from the water, up to the street. We've worked hard, and Esther's done a phenomenal job with everything, making sure that we're meeting the standards and following all the ordinances and all the rules, and we're asking for 0 variances or waivers in this project. Yeah, so.
Aren't you asking for a time waiver for finishing the project?
Yeah, I think too that needs to be looked at as an ordinance in general, Roth, because of what's going on in today between construction taking longer, projects taking
No, I
longer,
understand, I'm
financing.
just saying that you have
Yeah.
that request.
I think we might have something.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so in regards to the timeline, I guess that would be the only one. Yep. Yep. But that's gonna become more and more common, especially projects that are significant. Esther can go over some details too about last meetings, last feedback from the board, which is great, and any more feedback, we'd love to hear it. So Esther, you can go over some things and.
sure. All right, so again, Esther Bizier from Mainland Development. Just really quickly, I'll kind of run through a few of the details on that project. So Justin did a great job with the overview as far as the intent, and some of those details as far as buildings coming down. But a few things to just highlight, and then I'll also go through sort of what we're looking at, some of the changes that we're making and have made sort of since that last meeting, and that you'll be seeing very soon here. So first off, we're at 247 and 257 Main Street, specifically tax map 23, lots 108 and 109. So lot 108 is the lot that has 3 buildings on it. So there's what we call Building A, and is labeled as Building A on our survey plan, and on the site plans. That's the building that's remaining. It has its frontage. It's mainly Melts right on Main Street, and then Potter's Place, which Maine Eco Homes is currently remodeling, so that is all remaining as is. Building B, which contains Warren's Florist, and then the kind of weird garage space on the other side, that will be coming down. And then Building C, which is that smaller garage storage building out back closer to the brook, that will also be coming down. When we move over to lot 109, which is the lot right across Depot Street, so 109 has, it's definitely a unique lot where it's has some frontage on Depot Street, Main Street, and then Gibbs Avenue. So a lot of different frontage points. That contains the one building that was the stone surface building, and that building will be coming down as well. There's currently also an entrance directly on and off of Main Street for lot 109, and as part of this project, that entrance will be closed off. So when we're looking at what's being proposed, so in total, this project encompasses about 2.24 acres, and that's lots 108 and 109. So 108 is 1.55 acres. And that lot is entirely within that general development too. So it's in the downtown Village Business District, but because of the proximity to Stevens Brook, it is within that general development to Shoreland Zone overlay. And for the board members that were at the site walk, I know we looked at kind of where things were in relation to Stevens Brook. For lot 109, that lot's only 0.7 acres, 0.69 really. And that lot, again, downtown Village Business 1, but a portion of it kind of cuts right through the middle of the lot And that is, again, because of that 250-foot setback from Stevens Brook within that proximity. And that's within the general development too as well. So when we look kind of specifically at what uses are proposed here, so we'll start maybe with lot 109. And that's the lot where the one building is being torn down, the entrance to Main Street is being closed off, and then we're proposing two structures. So the Depot Street Brewery and then also Maker's Mill. And within those sort of two buildings, we're looking at a few different uses. So there's, first off, the brewery, brewery and restaurant, and that's all contained within that Depot Street Brewery building. And that's, again, right on the corner of Depot Street and Main Street. One thing that it is in the packets that you have, that the board has, but we're preparing a sort of revised narrative that I'll give you that might sort of make things a little bit clearer. Instead of kind of jumping from standard to standard, I go lot by lot and lay out how that, how that meets all of your sort of frontage calculations. And again, we don't have to go through all of that, or I don't have to stand up here and read that for you probably. But we are looking at the brewery as having its frontage along Depot Street. And at that location, we're generally just a couple feet off of the property line. And then when we wrap around Main Street, there is an entrance off of Main Street as well. So that will contain, again, that brewery use. Moving over to Maker's Mill, so that's where we have second story or second level multifamily housing, so apartments. And then small retail on the main floor. So there are some changes being made to the architectural plans as well. There is one of the spaces that I believe was just over the 1,500 square feet, for that, which would be the delineator between the small retail versus large retail. So we're looking at making a few building changes. And there's also what we would consider to be maker space, and that is a little bit of a larger space, and that's where there may be, or there would be, multiple makers. So think local artisans, craftspeople, bakers, whomever, anybody making something that could rent a booth space, and that could be seasonally or maybe year-round, and it gives them a space, say 100 square feet or 200 square feet when they don't need a 700 or 800 square foot sort of traditional small retail space. So it gives them an affordable and just, an affordable and useful place to be able to sell their goods. And in that way, we would consider that, or we're hoping the board will consider that to be like a small retail space. So it is going to be, it's one of those things that doesn't quite fit within the use definitions that are in the Bridgton ordinance. So it's not really a flea market. It's not really an outdoor market or anything like that. But it's retail in the sense of it's people selling their goods. It's just doesn't fit within either really the small or large category. So we're hoping that you'll consider maker space sort of like small retail, and I'm sure that there will be some discussion about that at some point when you get to that. So then if we move kind of right across Depot Street to lot 108, so again, that's where we have existing building A, which is mainly Melts and then Potter's Place, so that will be a restaurant and then retail use as well. And then when we move back to Brookside, so the new Brookside building, that will have the Market Cafe, and then again 4 small retail spaces and multifamily on that second level. So pretty similar uses between the two properties. We're looking at that mix of retail, restaurant or brewery.
3 restaurants, right?
So there would in total be 3 restaurants. So there would be mainly Melts, the brewery, which would also serve food, and then the Market Cafe.
But mainly Melts is not part
No,
of the
part of it.
project.
Mainly Melts is part of the existing building.
Right,
So,
okay.
but not part of
Right.
the, say, new projects. So, it is, you know, it is still existing on that lot though,
Okay.
so. When we look at, so some of the things I think the board is probably most interested in, and which we've talked about a little bit, but are sort of the parking, and I know we talked about that a little bit last time. So we haven't changed the parking configuration out here. When we met on site, we talked about specifically, so lot 109. That is going to be, again, we're closing off the existing entrance onto lot 109 from Main Street and proposing to have a new entrance to a new parking area out behind that building. That parking area will be accessed by a one-way drive, so you'll come in from Gibbs Avenue. You'll be able to go park out back, and then the exit will be onto Depot Street. There are some existing spaces along Depot Street, those will remain, so we're not, you know, proposing to do anything to the street itself. And then if we move over to lot 108, as Justin said, we're proposing that new 47 space parking area. And so that will, again, provide a significant amount of new spaces for these uses and for people visiting other shops as well in downtown Bridgton. But in addition to that 47 space lot, there is some new parking along Depot Street as well. So there's some existing spaces right along the front of the Potter's Place building. And we're proposing that those will continue down kind of to where Warren's Florist would be now. So right in front of the Brookside building as well. Just a few other things, so I know that there are some questions about like lot coverage and impervious areas. So in total, we have a decrease in the impervious area out here. So when we were on site, everybody, and when you look at the survey plans, lot 109 is currently like 92% impervious area. And we're proposing that lot 109 will, in total, it ends up being around 70% impervious area. So specifically when you're looking at, this is, again, lot 109 is that one that has the break between the downtown village and the general development. So within the downtown village business district, so there is no standard on or requirement on lot coverage, but we're at 72% on that portion of the lot. So that, you know, is some building area, some parking area, and some pathway area. And then when we move into the portion of 109, which is within the general development district, we're at 68%, and that's less than the 70% requirement in the general development district. If we move to the other side of the street, so lot 108, on lot 108, so there we're entirely within that general development overlay. And within that area, we're at 54% impervious. I don't have the number at my fingertips of what we are now, but it is a reduction, and it is listed, I believe, in the application as well. So we do have a reduction in that, which is good from the aspect of stormwater and phosphorus. A few other items on lot 108, just in relation to the shoreline zone. So there is a 50-foot structure setback in the general development 2 district. The existing building C, which is that smaller storage building closest to the brook. So again, that's one of the buildings which will be torn down. And that is currently, I believe, about 47 feet from Stevens Brook, so just slightly within that 50-foot setback. When we looked at placing Brookside building on that lot, we've maintained, so we're no closer than that 47 feet with one building corner, and then we've also maintained the same building square footage within that little tiny sort of 3 foot within the 50 feet. So there's, I believe, existing like 12 square feet, and we're proposing, I believe, like 13 or 14 square feet to be within that same 50-foot structure setback. So again, with shoreline zoning, we're not moving any closer to the brook, and we're not expanding that building structure area by more than 30%. And just the other note I'll make on that in general is that as a whole, that new structure will be further away from the brook than the existing structure, which kind of parallels the brook. For the Stevens Brook path, so there's the existing path which does run right down along Stevens Brook. There's some existing stairs in the woods. We didn't go look at them on site. They're a little bit, they're visible, they're there, but there is some tall grass and stuff. Might not have wanted to walk through it. And we're proposing that those stairs and that pathway will connect to this new pathway that we're talking about behind Brookside Building. So you'll be able to come from lot 109, which is, again, is Maker's Mill and the brewery. You can cross the street. We are proposing that new crosswalk, and I think we looked at that specifically on site. And you would be able to access that trail and know where you are in the trail, since I know there's been some people who have tried to walk it and been confused about where it goes. And with that trail, they are proposing that it will extend up along the back of the Potter's Place building, and then it'll run essentially along the edge of the gateway parking to access the new bridge. And that bridge, where it crosses Stevens Brook, there will be access to an additional sort of new to-be paved, I believe, parking area on that adjacent lot. That's something in the works now, is my understanding. As far as water and sewer, so we're on town utilities. We've heard from the water district, or we've heard from the sewer district, and have a letter that we'll include in that next submission for the board. We've heard verbally from the water district, and I don't believe there are any in the municipal impact statements. There weren't any sort of red flags there, but we will keep chasing after them for a letter as well. As far as stormwater, we are going to the main DEP on this as well. So we're at that where we're over an acre of impervious. So even though it's redeveloped, we're a little bit more than that, and as such have to go get a permit for that redevelopment. We are with that in the Long Lake watershed, so there were phosphorus calculations and a narrative that we provided to the board. And yeah, I'll kind of leave it to you guys to ask some questions.
Well,
I don't want to spend all night talking,
Right.
so.
right, you wanna hear what the board has to say, and of course what the public has to say. I know there's not a lot of members of the public here, but there's a couple, so, thank you very much, appreciate that. So, is there, anybody from the public in the room that would like to speak? Please go to the mic and identify yourself.
There's even more notes here. I want to take this stuff back, but yeah, my name is Paul Turang, and I am happy to say that I actually live in Bridgton and would like to remain living in Bridgton. I would like to keep Bridgton first and foremost as a town that is not just a nice place to visit, but also a nice place to live. This is a hugely complicated project, there's no question about that. And the first thing that I'd like to say, because as people know, I also am on the select board, is I am here as a citizen of Bridgton. I'm not representing the select board. I think one thing that has actually confused some people outside of this group is that this project has been presented as sort of town-backed. And I think that's a, 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 that's a just for some clarity on that, various and sundry people have been around the town, have been consulted on the project, which is great, which is what you want to do, but there's not been any kind of general, like, committee or any kind of thing like you're seeing for like the Stevens Brook School or, so it's a little tricky when something is town-backed, and it confuses some people. And again, I'm sensitive to it because I am an elected, wearing my other hat, I am an elected representative. I think the thing to keep in mind here is that the planning board role, and I'm not going to speak to each of the specifics of each of these details of this plan, the planning board role, as I understand it, is to evaluate against what has been actually town-backed, which is the land use ordinance. And that ordinance is particularly strict in the downtown area because the people of the town recognize how important the downtown is to the town. And I guess I would kind of break the land use ordinance into three parts. One is there's some really hard and fast rules in the land use order, very specific, bang, this is this and this is that. The other role that the planning board is tasked with is to apply judgment as to the intent of the land use ordinance around things that are not quite as well defined. So how many parking spots do we need? Those type of issues are not like, here it is, the answer is 22, or the answer is 43, or whatever. And I think in this project, and part of its complication is, there's some elements in here that I think were not really contemplated at all in developing the land use ordinance. And I think it hits on things like the stage, amphitheater, whatever you want to call it, which, it just wasn't contemplated really. Then similarly, when we talk about and this is a huge increase in the housing piece of it, and I want to go first to the housing piece of it because there's 15 apartments, which is great, and as a member of the public, if it gets approved, I would like to see those 15 residential units used as full-time residential units. I don't think that the definition of a residential unit that was contemplated when the land use ordinance was, I'll have 15 small businesses doing short-term rentals out of these apartment units. So yeah, I'm going to focus first on the housing to say, and again, it's public input and everyone has an opinion. And my opinion is that if that many units gets approved for the downtown area, that it be clear, sort of in writing, in my mind, in the ideal world, that it would say, okay, these are units that are leased out. They cannot be sublet as short-term rentals. And really, to me, the home run would be, as Justin spoke of, is to say these are actually affordable, or workforce affordable, I guess would be the better term for these, so that the people who actually work at these different shops could actually be the people who are year-round residents in these units. But again, I think that's what the planning board needs to focus on, no matter what their kind of sort of personal opinion is about different things. They need to focus on their role of, going with what has been approved for the land use ordinance and filling in the parameters around that as well. I'm going to skip over to, I guess, the entire project, because you have a talented developer, you have a talented architect, you have all this talent. I mean, it is essentially a blank canvas. And so I would expect really no variance to the sort of well-defined hard and fast rules. And again, that has to do with, you know, how far back off the street things are, what the setbacks are, whether things need to be built right to the street, and you know, and the plans, I guess, are a little in flux, because I just heard her say that there was, I'm not quite sure about the idea of something tearing down a pre-existing structure that's non-conforming and building another non-conforming structure in its place. And again, that's an issue for the planning board to consider, and I don't think that these plans are final yet either, which makes it a little difficult as they change for both the public and the planning board. But the 2-year substantial, I would like to talk about the 2-year substantial progress, because I heard Justin say, wow, you know, this is, you know, maybe we should change the ordinance. I'm concerned about that, because 3 years ago, he came forward with a plan to get approved for 144 Main Street, which he described, and I believe the term was a gaping hole in downtown Bridgton Main Street. That hole hasn't, he's put it to good use, but that hole hasn't really been filled, and he's got an extension on that because the 2 years expired. And clearly, if you see the amount of buildings, the amount of apartments, the replica building, the gateway, it's not a lack of resources, right? It's not that I don't have the ability, and so I'm fearful when I see this project where essentially built into the plan is the request for an extension before the project has even started. Let me see where I am. Other things, and I'm not going to go through them all. And the planning board had a good list of other things that they had asked, but I certainly would look carefully at the outdoor stage, if that's even a permitted use, or again, is intended as part of the land use ordinance. Parking, I mean, everyone talks about parking. This does not seem to be, by any view, enough parking spaces, so enough new parking spaces associated with it. There's a lot of parking in the town if you walk farther enough out, but those spaces are generally already filled. I mean, you got to look at what you're adding and how many new spots you're adding, rather than say, oh, I'll take up all the parking spots. I would like to see as a condition that, again, he's a sophisticated developer. He's had ample time to examine mainly Melton Potter Place. I would like to see some kind of guarantee that those buildings, if there is found to be problems, would be remediated rather than torn down and replaced with replica buildings.
If there was what kind of problems, Paul?
If there are any kind of problems that needed with those buildings, he's had time to examine them. If there's structural problems, if there's mold problems, that those buildings would not just be torn down, but would be fixed up rather than torn down and replaced with more replica buildings. The retail space that's there, that's the the Maker's Mill, and again, Justin has the best of intentions of having the craftspeople in there and little booths and whatnot, but again, I think the planning board needs to consider that what they're approving is retail space. If it turns out that the, you know, these people can't pay enough rent, and that there's a, you know, a better use for that, a more profitable use for that space. I mean, there's no guarantee. What's being approved is retail space. And again, more than anything, I think the planning board should be super careful to get the final plans and get the conditions in writing, because somebody, when back in my planning board days, you know, someone told me that if it's not in writing, it's all rainbows and unicorns, and that, you know, it's simply, it's nice to talk about, but that's not what you're looking at approving. And so I want to make sure that people understand particularly that piece of it. And I don't know about on specific things, I don't know about the heights. I was surprised to see. I don't remember that there was an exception for the cupolas, how do you say it? That the building, that they didn't count toward the 35 feet, 35?
The standard, just to clarify, the standard allows for a tower. It doesn't count towards the height. I'll have some questions later, but just so you're aware.
Okay. I'm just trying to quickly look through, and again, I'm particularly focused on the timeframes and the setbacks. You know, there is another setback exception on lot 109 that's due to a sewer line, which, again, if you weren't starting from a blank canvas, if you had like one narrow little lot and you said, okay, I gotta do something with it, and it's of no value unless I move it back and make the standard, then fine, that's a very reasonable request. But when you have 2+ acres to work with, which is a big chunk of our downtown, I don't really, I think we should go in with the idea that there shouldn't really be a reason why an exception is needed. I travel a lot. People know me know I travel a lot, and you know, I see developments like this in Mexico and in Cartagena, Colombia. Right? You know, you can walk down the street where they have the old buildings and there's a KFC.
It's almost finished.
And I recently was in Santa Barbara and California, and they had a development without the housing aspects of it, really along these same lines. They had recreated, they had rebuilt a replica seaside village of, you know, they had a merry-go-round, they had an arcade. It actually was in many ways very, very, very similar to this, in that there was a brewery, there was a restaurant out back. There was, you know, the fake seaside shop selling pirate souvenirs. You went through that shop. You came to the restroom, which again, actually, it had a lot in common with this project, and it.
You need to wrap it up a little
Okay.
bit, Paul. You've been up there for about
it was
13
successful. Well,
minutes.
I'll wrap it up with.
I know you had a lot of items, so don't get me wrong, we're listening, or at
I'll
least I
wrap it
am.
up with the immortal Yogi Berra's quote about Cape Cod. You know, it's too crowded. Nobody goes there anymore, and that is the danger of a successful tourist attraction. That the nobody goes there anymore will reflect the people who want the true Bridgton experience, but it still will be crowded. So that's Brian.
Okay, thanks, Paul, appreciate it. Is there anybody else in the room from the public that would like to comment? Is there anybody I see a few people on the Zoom line. Is there anybody on the Zoom that would like to speak or has questions about the project? If you do, please unmute yourself and identify yourself, and if you can turn your camera on, even better. Okay, doesn't sound like it. All right. If you change your mind later, just make sure to notify our staff in some way. You can use the icon for raising your hand. Okay, so let's go to the board for questions. Ms. Miller?
I've waited because I wanted to make some points. And let me say that even though it's an old idea, I believe that form follows function. And sometimes that means that the function is to gain the greatest potential per square foot of development. But I don't think that's true in this case. I think in this case, as in many of his other projects, there are some societal functions, interactive community functions, and I think that these have gone from a clubhouse to gardening, community gardening space, or all kinds of additions to just square footage that we find in some of Justin's projects. And let me say that I've been concerned about this part of Main Street for decades, literally, and have gone to many meetings and actually served on the Economic Development Committee when Justin was there, and we talked about all those things. And so I do endorse everything he said. However, I have some concerns that some of the things that he hopes for are not going to reach the degree of success that he is expecting. And I think that there are some design problems, not problems, design characteristics that we might do better to consider before the ground is broken. I'm most concerned about the lack of continuing the street wall along Main Street. Even though this building is a charming building and has a front and a very visible side, I do believe that this gap here is going to have a couple of, add a couple of problems. One is that if you're going to have community interactive space here, that you might need to shelter this open space from the traffic noise. They're beautiful inter-street spaces in many European places, plazas and so forth, piazzas, but they were not built during the period of water trucks and lumber trucks. And we have a narrow, very busy U.S. route. I would really rather, and I have a picture here of the charming station, depot station, that has two very obvious platforms, passenger platforms, so that even that you have the bulk of a building, you do in the original building have a lot of open space. So you could see through this open space to see what's inside. I would hope that what we could do, or that what you might consider, is enclosing this space as your interactive community space by perhaps moving this building along Main Street, using the passenger platform area to be the entrance and you're coming into a place where you're a passenger, and it says Bridgton, Maine, and you're getting off the train, and you're walking through the passenger space. If you do that, what you do is you're enclosing a larger area. And if you were able to move this building a bit, maybe to keep the configuration of the curve and then another curve, and open this space so that you would have a lot more space for music or other activities. You would have a traffic noise buffer. And especially if you're closing off the street, you would have passage across and places for food trucks and other kinds of things that I think would add to what is happening in the space. I mean, it's a wonderful project, but I'm just afraid that the realities of the site pose problems that will interfere with the really important goals that you set for it. My other problem, and that level of just missing the point may have added to some of my more vociferous comments earlier. I also believe that a fountain is a wonderful idea. Flowing water is very good for mental health. I had a fountain. Then my mental health declined trying to clean the fountain, but I actually enjoyed the sound. It helps to purify the air. It attracts wildlife. It creates a very soothing atmosphere, which is really a kind of sound therapy. As the water springs up, light plays on the water, or the water plays with the light, and so it's a visual feature. And it also stimulates creativity. I'm afraid that placing something here on the main street is going to negate some of those wonderful attributes of a water feature. Justin, you've said before that you hope people would congregate there and sit and have lunch and whatever. And you may have seen me on the sidewalk. I was the only one who asked where the fountain was going to be. And I walked over to it, and I tried to sit, but I was afraid I wouldn't be able to get up again, but I did kneel, reverentially kneel, to try to find if this would be the soothing, creative, refreshing space that we all want it to be. And it wasn't. I found that my face was exactly at exhaust pipe level. Not so great for eating a little picnic lunch. And as I knelt, a truck turned from Portland Road from the light to go along Main Street, and there is right at that point a little incline. And this was a diesel, fortunately having an exhaust above the cab, but it was struggling because it had a big piece of equipment on it, construction equipment, struggling to get up that incline, so that there was quite a bit of roar. And I would rather, if there's going to be something here to catch the public's attention, see a sculpture of some kind that and move the interactive, creative, refreshing mental health attributes of a fountain to an interior spot where all of those things can be realized.
Okay, so Ms. Miller, just, you've been
Excuse-
going for about
Yes,
7 minutes.
and I know, and
So,
I've
so are
waited for
these,
several
so
weeks.
what would be helpful, I think, and I know these are suggestions, you're making suggestions.
I'm making suggestions because I have not been able to contribute to this
Now,
project
excuse me
in
one
any
minute.
other way.
So, excuse me 1 minute. I really, one thing I would just advise board members. I think it's fine, if you wouldn't mind,
If you wouldn't mind.
no,
go
I do
ahead.
mind. We need to focus on standards.
And the
And
standard
just
is
wait a
relation
minute,
to
please.
the environment and
Dee,
relation to
please.
surroundings.
We need to focus on the standards. I'm not arguing that you might not have some good points, but we need to focus on the standards.
My-
If you have a suggestion,
My
just make the
standard
direct
is
suggestion.
relation to surroundings, and I believe that the street wall should be continued, and that it would be a benefit to the other activities that the applicant has suggested, because it would act as a traffic buffer, a visual enclosure, so that people would feel that they were in some kind of contained space. All of these are consistent with good design principles, which I've been studying for about 2 decades. So those are my suggestions, those are my concerns as a person who has seen this developer do some marvelous things throughout his career, and actually has been with him every single project that he has done. And so I hope he will consider these not only as my personal suggestions, but as related to the standard of traffic, parking, and particularly pedestrian circulation, land use, and the relationship to environment. Particularly the architectural feature of the street wall being continued. Thank you very much.
Who else has questions? I'll just for the, very quickly for the board, the items that have been asked for that the applicant is working on is, I'm just going to say them quickly, just so that if you want to see something in those items, or you want to ask the applicant to embellish, not embellish, but to have some level of detail, then I'd like to get that out today. So the things that have been asked for are the fill and cut calculations, the square footage of the various spaces of green space, technical feasibility evidence, landscape plan, a narrative on the shoreland zoning, including drawings where applicable, like the bridge, retaining walls, so forth. There's a lot of different specifications in there. A full stormwater report. We do have the phosphorus report, but a full stormwater report. All planned uses, which I think we'll nail down, but we've certainly heard the things that, for sure things, and the kind of things you're thinking about. Detailed parking analysis that relates what you expect in terms of clients to the parking. I think that was Rolf's. And to address the space and bulk standards. I think that's what's been asked for, so so everybody's aware of that. Okay, so Kathy, you had your hand up.
Yes. Is the applicant going to formally request?
You're going to need to speak up or get the mic close.
Sorry. Is the applicant going to formally request for Lot 108 that the board relax the 50-foot setback in accordance with Part 3-3D, and is planning to meet those requirements? That's question one. Question two, on the stormwater phosphate narrative, I reviewed the calculations, and I think you might want to also. I can elaborate if you wish.
We'll review them.
Okay, because, yeah, you're missing half an acre somewhere. Can you show a map portion of Lot 108 that will drain directly into Stevens Brook versus the portion that's going to drain towards Depot and Main Street? An elaboration of that would be most useful. And provide your design assumptions and details for the rain garden. Under erosion and sedimentation, Part H, Will a copy of the log be going to the code enforcement of Bridgton? In any portion of the footbridge, do you anticipate having go to the Army Corps of Engineers in terms of piers or any support structures? And for the security camera, who's going to be monitoring that and how long will the data be kept? I think that's it.
And are there any of those questions you want to address now?
We can kind of go through a couple things just pretty
I've got a
briefly.
question.
Yeah, I just wanted to give her a chance to answer.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm glad Kathy asked those questions.
Yeah, no, I think the stormwater report should have some of the answers in it, detailed analysis, but go ahead.
Yep, so I think really the stormwater, you'll see more information on that with that next submittal, so we probably don't need to get too deep into that right now. So we'll give you all the calculations on the rain garden sizing, and we'll also have drafted up just the watershed map as far as what's going to the existing storm drain network and then what's going to Stevens Brook. Kind of the generic answer right now is that anything behind the Brookside building and portion of the parking lot, that's going to Stevens Brook. Some of it's going to that rain garden for treatment. And anything on lot 109, that and what's at the front of lot 108, that's going to the existing network on Depot and Main Street. Just in regards to the setback waiver, the 50-foot setback, so we're maintaining the same setback from the brook, and where that's, so it's an existing non-conforming structure. We're maintaining that setback, but not making it more non-conforming, if that makes sense to the board. So we'll put more details into the narrative as well that we submit prior to the next meeting. But just to sort of clarify on that point. And I know we did also have a couple of retaining walls proposed back there. So the one for the parking lot, that's not within the 50-foot setback, so that's outside. And there were a couple that we had thought we might need along the path, but we've relooked at that and kind of relocated so that we don't need that. And those were just gonna be like kind of a little 1-foot boulder thing, but we were able to revise that, so you don't need that within that setback area.
So you're saying the only retaining wall that you're gonna need is that parking lot next to the Brookside building?
So the only one that will remain is
So no
off the
others?
parking, correct.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
And just the other point to, as far as retaining walls go, on the property line with lot 109, there is an existing retaining wall there, and that wall will remain. So that's between the neighbors, just up from the property on Gibbs Ave and then our property, so.
You're talking
that
about the
will be-
rear,
The rear,
roof.
yeah, so that's staying, but not within the stream setback, so.
Yeah, so what you, because it's not within the 50-foot general development stream setback, think what you might want to, the dimensional standards for retaining, or not the dimensional standards, the standards for retaining walls. I don't think it specifies, it says in the shoreland zone, and of course that entire lot just about's in the shoreland zone. So I think you need to pay attention to that unless we're missing something.
I think that the retaining wall, that would be considered a structure, and in the GD2, the setback for a structure is the 50 feet. So because we're behind that 50 feet or exceeding the 50 feet, I believe that would also, we're therefore would be meeting that requirement.
Yeah, okay, I'll have to think about that.
Yeah.
I'll come back to it.
Think about it.
Yeah. I guess my concern is it's definitely outside the structure part, but This chapter says, in addition to complying with all other applicable standards, including the dimensional standards in section 3-3, the applicable district-specific space and bulk standards, all uses, structures, and lots in the shoreline zone must comply with the following standards, and then it lists retaining walls. And so I'm thinking about what's in the shoreline zone, which is that entire GD district. So I'll just leave it there, I think. Okay. And sorry for interrupting, I didn't know if you had more you wanted to. Okay.
No, I'll, just making notes, because we,
And I guess we'll move on to, who else has questions? Rolf, you had your hand up?
Back to parking for a minute. When you're doing your analysis, can you do your analysis based upon parking zoning standards, based upon typical use of what's going on within the property, on how many parking spaces are required for that use? You know what I'm talking about? Can that, the analysis you can do?
we can do an analysis based on use.
Of what's in, due to what is happening in your project, the increased use of the property, what will be the requirements? What do we need to have for parking spaces for that use?
Yeah. So are you looking for something that
I'm really
she
looking
would
for
reference, like a standard, like an international
The
standard?
international
or-
standards, I provided the board with that. And I think it's important because parking is going to be a very important part of this. And the other question is that you got 15 new apartments, and I'm just curious, in the building next to Tasty Melts, I guess, is that what it's called?
Yeah, mainly melts.
Mainly Melts, whatever it's called.
They are tasty.
I haven't been there yet.
So good.
The building next door that was torn down and redone, unfortunately for your part, Justin. Is there apartments in that building too? The real question is, with all the new apartments, is there going to be parking which is designated for those users year-round, because in the winter we have parking bans? Just to talk about how that's going to be taken care of.
Yep. So what I can say is that there will be spaces dedicated for apartment parking. Reason being that there's no parking in, say, in public lots all night. So every apartment will have parking spaces designated.
Just want to make sure that it's
Yeah.
designated and shown. That goes back actually to the international parking standards. How many are required for a one-bedroom apartment or two-bedroom apartment?
Yeah, it's based on bedrooms and.
And you got a full list of things to do, and I don't think we can do anything until we get all the information from this
Yeah.
full list of things to do.
Yeah.
We want to make sure we have your list of things to do.
Yeah,
so.
I'll have some input, but I want to make sure
I
that
want to thank
everybody in the
Kathy for
board
being
has
an
a
engineer on
chance.
the board too.
Anybody else? Dan? Angie?
Yeah, the only concerns I have, when you're talking about with the bollards up on Depot Street, closing it down, from what point down are you gonna be closing the road for certain events? Okay, and the reason I ask that is the way this map shows is your tenants or whoever that comes in off of Gibbs Ave and parks, if you shut Depot Street down, you said Gibbs Ave is a one-way coming in, how do they leave if you shut down Depot Street? Also, and this may be more of a question for you, Chief, if we shut Depot Street down, just beyond you guys, there are, I believe, 3 more buildings after you, Justin? I'm not 100% sure. I know there's the American Legion, there's an apartment building, is it just 2?
There's 2.
The other concern I have is if we shut that road down, we have no way to get our fire trucks to those 2 buildings because we cannot cross the bridge on Depot Street on the Sundown Lounge side because of the weight restriction. So just think about those things in terms of, you know, maybe we don't shut down the whole street, we do kind of what we used to do on Depot, where 1 lane's open for emergency vehicles, just because of that weight restriction on the backside. if there was an issue at the Legion or the other place, we need to get, vehicles in there. And same thing, like if the 47 parking spots that you have out behind the, what did you call it, the Brookside building?
Beside the
If the
Brookside.
road's shut down, how do those people get out? You know what I'm saying? Just think about those things, not that it's a deal breaker, but it's just something to think about in terms of the parking part of
Yeah, I
it.
think, to your observation, I don't know if the chief wants to address any of that. You might come up, because I think what you're talking about, if that's truly an issue, is then you might backtrack to look at the uses that cause that street to be closed.
One of the things that wasn't mentioned, I don't know if you're aware of this yet or not, but not this summer, but next summer, DOT is scheduled to replace the bridge over by the community center, the one
Okay.
closest to the community center.
Yeah,
To take that weight restriction away from us accessing from that direction.
okay.
And that would allow us to access the two buildings that are down there. There's a two-unit apartment and the American Legion Hall, basically directly behind our station on Depot Street. But if we are gonna look at possibly closing that down for like public events, whether it's a concert or farmer's market or whatever it might be, we would need to have some coordination there as to when it's gonna happen, proper notification, that kind of stuff. For instance, we do have a closure coming up on that street very shortly with the American Legion doing a yard sale. And I forget the exact name of the event, but a dog event that happens at the community center every summer.
Dog
days. Yeah.
Dog days.
So that, that's coming right up, and that was approved for a specific period of time on a specific date, and those kinds of things we could work with. And I think as long as if we shut it off at Depot Street, if we had access for the building, the Brookside parking and the tenants that are in the Maker's Mill, the residents that are there, if they could come out the backside of Depot and head towards the community center and come out that way, I think, there's probably a workable solution there.
Yeah, and that's why I was kinda saying, just kinda detail from where on Depot Street to where on Depot Street you would be shutting down. Like if you
Right.
look at the map and you shut it down right at the exit of where the Maker's Mill building is, and you can go that way, then there's no problem. But if they were gonna shut it down further, then how do those people get out?
Right, and that's something we'd have to, discuss the details of, when we get to that point.
Okay.
And I would say I'll kind of chime in on it in that, we don't show kind of a second set of bollards because it could potentially vary depending on the event and what they need for space, but I would look at, maybe like near that crosswalk area would be where that would end.
Okay.
I don't anticipate that they wouldn't be able to close it all the way sort of they wouldn't be able to close it past the exit of that parking area for sure.
Okay.
Just because people need to be able to get out, like you were saying, so.
They could also access the other end of Depot Street to exit as well.
Correct.
Because if
Yeah.
you close the road off right at the event, then they can make
Yeah,
that
you
way.
could still go.
Hold on one second. We got three hands up. I'll start with Dee and then Rolf, and then it looks like Mr. Turag would like to go to the mic again.
Well, wouldn't street closures be subject to permitting by the Board of Selectmen?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, so that
Yes.
would vary from time to time, depending on what the event would be. And the chief would be part of that decision, I'm certain. So I don't know that we need to spend a lot of time on exactly where they're going to close it, because they're not going to close it.
Exactly.
The select board's going to close
Yep.
it.
Yeah, shown on the plan, but would still require that
As a-
coordination
as a-
with the
as a-
town
As an
every
option.
time. Yeah.
subject to town approval.
Right.
Okay, so that covered what you,
And the
Okay.
street's not gonna go anywhere, so the surface will still be there.
Ralph?
This is just something I just thought of. Do dimensional requirements regarding frontage with corner lots come into play here?
Mm-hmm.
All right, did you, in your plan, make sure that they all, okay, thank you.
Frontage, yeah. There aren't any frontage requirements in DVB one. Believe it or not.
Just wanted to be sure.
Yeah, I think regarding street shutdown, it's a Board of Selectmen decision. I think where we came in, if it did come in, would be, is there a use that somehow is incompatible with that area? That's where we, whether it's because of the number of clients or what have you, so that's what I'd ask the board to think about. And I know that they're working on providing us more information, the applicants, about the, clientele and, one of the reasons I asked for the amount of green space in blocks was to understand the number of people that could possibly congregate and be there, so.
And we've got that figure for you, so.
Other questions from the board before I go into a couple of mine? I guess not. So if you could just straighten me out on the brewery restaurant, the facade, so the entry point and all of that, is it, I thought you said it originally was facing Depot Street, and then I thought I saw a change in design where it was facing towards the courtyard. And the standard requires that the facade has a certain percentage on the street, and I take facade to mean the front of a building. Now, you could have two fronts, obviously, but could you just speak to that? Because tonight it sounded like you said the facade was towards Depot Street.
Yeah, so the front of the building is intended, so the facade would be along Depot Street. And there will be two entrances on that side, one like a utility entrance, but one will be an entrance for the brewery and restaurant. And with that facade, so I know there's specific requirements about what that setback can be, and then also what the length of that can be along that setback with
number of-
recesses.
And the fenestration, the
Right.
number of windows and.
Yep. So there will be, again, I'll lay it out a little bit, maybe in a more easily to follow format, in this next sort of narrative. But, so along Depot Street, so that is within the 0 to 6 foot setback, so we're really just off the back of the right-of-way line with Depot Street, so just off of the public lot line. There is, let's see, so 65, let's see. That wasn't the line I was looking for. But we're at, so the building's setback between 4 feet and 6 feet. And 59.3 feet of that facade is set back 4 feet. So that's 69.8% of
Right.
that total
I
length along
followed
Depot.
that. What I was concerned about is it looked like the attraction to that place in the front of it was facing the courtyard and not facing Depot Street. I know it has some doors on Depot Street, but if I looked at the design facing the courtyard and the design facing Depot Street, the front looks like it's facing the courtyard. Technically, the standard's asking for something different.
Yeah, so there will be like a bench seating along that Depot Street side, so under that cantilevered overhang. And, the intent would be that that's a place where people can gather outside. That'll be the main entrance is off of Depot Street. It's kind of on the lower half of the building. And then there'll also be, as you pointed out, there is also an entrance off of Main Street and then an entrance from the courtyard as well. Just because we don't want to close people off or have to have people walk around like the whole building. That Depot Street side does meet like the window, so the fenestration or opening requirement. So, you know, there's a maximum of like 10 feet of sort of wall space that would be considered uninterrupted. And then we're at 30% for the fenestration percentage along that edge of the building. So we're meeting those requirements, and it is what we're considering sort of basically the primary entrance to the building would be
Okay.
on Depot.
The other question I had is the tower. I'm assuming it's not habitable. I do see some
There's
windows that are at the 35 feet line.
Yep, so I
But-
believe that there's stairs going up it, but it's not gonna be living area. If that clarifies.
Like a viewing area?
Right. Or not even.
No.
So.
Not public access.
No.
Just a second means of egress for the apartments.
Yeah, I think the way that definition reads, it just quickly go to it. So we're not guessing. So the height definition is the vertical distance of a structure is measured from the mean original grade, so from the original grade. The ground at the downhill side, and of course, there's not a lot of downhill on that one area. To the highest point of the roof of any rooftop structure or feature such as a deck, fence, railing, or widow's walk, but excluding the vertical distance of a chimney, steeple, heating, or goes into a number of things, skylights, bulkheads, or to dome, tower, or spire, provided such feature is not habitable. So you're gonna wanna make sure that's the case. Might wanna look up the definition of habitable.
Does it count pigeons?
Ms. Miller?
I think it's fair to say that this is a design feature that's consistent with trying to incorporate the design features of the original building that he's trying to.
Right.
And
I just wanted to
don't-
confirm.
I would agree that it's not to be anything more than a design feature.
So, the next question I had, and maybe, is that, you're counting the Maker's Mill and I think the Brookside building as accessory structures. And I don't agree based on the definition of accessory structure. Which it has to be subordinate and incidental. In other words, you could remove it and it wouldn't change the use of that lot. And I would argue that that's not the case, that you have multiple principal structures which is allowed. But I would ask that you look at the setbacks closely for principal structures, given that situation. And I know we've talked previously that the front setback is actually Depot Street, which is a little different. But my other comment on that is, related to that, is the Brookside building. If I look at the footprint in your layout plan, I don't think you can tell here, but you can tell online, where you have the footprint of the prior building in there. It looks to me like there's 3 parking spaces there, that are actually being created where the building originally was, and they weren't originally parking spaces. And the parking requirement requires you to be 15 feet back. Now, you have a whole bunch of spaces in front of the other existing building. But I think you should look at that relative to the standard. And, you know, I know parking is valuable, but the standard's basically asking for all parking to be 15 feet back unless it's grandfathered.
You're talking about the end of the building, right?
I'm talking about the Brookside building where the cafe is, and it would be yeah.
Parking in the front?
It would be these three structures, those three parking spaces. And because those parking spaces are there, that building as a principal building is beyond 6 feet, I think. So that's another thing to look at. Because that's on Depot Street, and so that's, you know. Ms. Miller?
In talking about the kinds of spaces, something that Paul brought up, the types of retail that would be going in. I know that there are some restrictions on size of shops in various areas. I was wondering, are you anticipating any studio space that might involve something like glass blowing that would deal with fire and torches, or, you know, flammable substances? I don't know. I mean, there are so many creative ways to be creative, and some of them may not fit some of the restrictions that we have. So I don't want you to assume, you know, that some of these other activities can go along. And I think that that's a conceptual thing, because a lot of art space does involve studio space where you can see people actually working on the creations. So I think maybe you need to get that set if there are any restrictions or ventilation that's required or anything like that to deal with the creation of these.
Well, that could also be once, if, assuming the project were to be approved at some point, then, and just doing a hypothetical here, there could be change of uses within there.
But there might have to be some structural
And that
things.
would be where, I mean, they can't anticipate every potential use that'll ever be in there, but obviously, if there's a change of use that the building doesn't support, they're not gonna be able to do it.
Of course, I just wanted them to
Think about
keep it in mind, because it might open you up to a lot of demands such as ventilation, airflow, these kinds of things that you may not be, it may not be so easy to retrofit those things if you have a client who wants it.
Okay, so my other ones are just, I think something simple is just on the Brookside building drawings, where you have the elevations, the top height isn't there. I did get a ruler out.
To measure it?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it would be good if those were on, whenever on the final plan. And, could you just confirm the Market Cafe is intended as a restaurant, is that correct?
There's no like cafe use necessarily, so restaurant was kind of the best fit that's in the
Yeah,
table
but
of uses,
but
if
you
will,
have a
but
kitchen in there?
There is a kitchen.
So the
Yeah.
intention is to serve food, I'm
There'll be
not trying to put
food,
words in your
yeah.
mouth, but is the
Yeah.
intention to serve food to the public?
Yes, yep.
Okay. And just a note on these parking spaces that are where the building was, which causes it not to be within, if it's a principal structure, within the proper setback. There's 11-foot wide sidewalk there, so that might provide some flexibility to you. So those are, and then I had a question for the CEO, I think.
Brenda's going to do sculpture.
For Ms. Day. The first question is, that you know of, being as you do a lot of code stuff and building stuff all the time, is there a restriction on the height of a tower above a building?
There is not, to my knowledge. It's exempt as long as it falls in that category.
Right.
And it's not,
So,
livable.
okay, so it's, could be,
Yeah, because
Alright.
it used to be, we had it no higher than the steeple, whatever, but we removed that.
okay. And then,
Church steeple.
just, this is really maybe for the board, but, the space, we cannot give a waiver or a variance for any dimensional standards. That's just a no-go. The space and the bulk standards are sort of a mix, and I think the board might have to decide, may or may not have to decide which of those are also dimensional standards. And, my question really is, do we need to understand if we can waive any of those or not? I'm not saying that the applicant's asking for that, I'm just trying to look ahead in the crystal ball.
Didn't you just say we couldn't waive them anyway?
Huh?
Oh, if they're dimensional
If
standards.
they're dimensional
They can
standards,
be
so
waived, but
things
if they're
like,
other standards, they may
things like the
be.
percentage in the setback area, I think that's a clear dimensional standard. But,
Yeah, I can do a little bit of digging on that too, and bring some information
yeah,
the next.
maybe you could do
before the
that.
next
I mean,
one.
you know,
Yep.
I'm not asking for at the end of the day, it's gonna be our judgment.
Right,
But I
yep.
think if there's anything you can help
To add to it.
clarify,
Yep,
that would be very
I
helpful.
can do that.
And then the other thing I'd like, which isn't for you, but for the Public Works Department, they may have already done this, is just for all the various drawings of the pipe connections and all the stuff connecting to the wastewater on those site details, I'd like him to either add to his impact statement or send us a note that says he's reviewed the details and he doesn't have any
They have, because
concerns.
our engineer has too, so the town
Brent,
engineer.
what's his name? The-
Brent Bridges, yep.
Okay.
So, and they've, I believe, talked to one of you two.
Yeah, just so there's no, okay, so I
Yeah.
don't think I need it written if you're positive that they've looked at all those.
Yeah.
and-
Yep.
Including Brent Bridges.
Yes.
Okay, all
Yep.
right. Anybody else? Any questions from the applicant? or- Okay.
Glad to get more feedback.
Now, I guess my question for you is, I don't want to, how much time do you need for getting the materials together? I think we have a fairly full meeting in July already, July 6th, right?
Yeah, we're packed.
Okay, so we're packed. All right, so, I know from a timeline standpoint, you're gonna be getting a lot of approvals, so I don't know that you're in a huge rush, but I just wanna make sure that, right now, you would be into August. So I just wanna check if there's some reason you need to come before August. And is that enough time for everything you have to do? So that you can come and you can have it all, everything,
That would work.
set. Okay?
Do we want to have them on a regular meeting? I mean, right now, just if everybody stays to their word, which you know how that goes, sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't.
What
We're
are you
really full
saying,
for
trying to
July, and we have quite a few already coming for August, so we're already booking to August meeting, plus any overflow. Do we want to do something separate for these guys?
Well, how much time do you need to address all the various items? Let's start there. And I'm not meaning to rush you at all, I just want to
Yeah,
make
I'll
sure
come-
you have the time to do it.
I'll come to the mic just for clarity, but, I mean, I know some of it we'll have to coordinate with the architect. We'd definitely be able to get that for the August meeting. So if there was something around that time frame, if you wanted to do a special meeting. Yeah.
That way, if we have to do something else, we can be on the August.
Yeah. Yeah, if we were to go maybe in between the
Well,
two.
so our normal the third Tuesday is, so 4/11/18?
Yeah, July 18th would be the third.
And we have 5 Tuesdays in July, is that right,
No, we do
Dan?
not. We have
No, we have
four.
4.
Really?
Yeah,
We have 5 in August?
we do.
Yes.
Okay. So,
What's the August one, Deb? Is it the first?
Yes.
August 1st?
yeah,
Who's first?
but Brenda's saying we're nearly full, so there's a couple options. One is July 18, which may or may not be enough time. The other is, we do have 5 Tuesdays in August, which means, so one of the things I'm thinking about is the board has a significant work to do with some ordinance work, and we've been giving up our workshops for that. So we could potentially do the 18th. We could do a separate special meeting, which gets a little bit more complicated, or we could pick a Tuesday in August, since we have 5 Tuesdays, and we'd still be able to juggle all our other stuff.
How about August
You can
8th?
do it on the first if the board wants, I'm just saying, you
Well, that
know,
would be the
I don't know, we're gonna
select
have
board meeting.
overflow and all
Yeah.
that.
Then do another day.
Well, if they're ready August
15th is our
1st,
meeting.
they really should be
Wouldn't wanna go.
first in the queue.
Second and third.
Well, hold on. We can't do the 8th because it's a select board
Right now,
meeting.
that's why I said the 15th.
We could do August 15th.
That's already a meeting.
No, we'd like to be on
Well, we
August
could- we-
1st.
You like to be on the 1st,
No, later than that, yeah.
later than the 1st.
No later.
No
than-
No
like
later than the
August.
1st.
So,
'Cause we were-
July if we
Right,
could.
we were thinking we would come back for the July 11th one, but if it's gonna be booked and full and we gotta. then
For the
we can-
July 8th.
So
So
it'd
does
be
July
18.
18th work for you?
What's the next July one?
Does July
July
18th
18th.
work?
July 18.
July 18th is your next meeting in July?
That would be
That would
our
be
third Tuesday, normally
It'd be their
reserved
special
for
meeting.
workshops, but we could,
Oh, no,
because
let's-
we've got a little breathing room, we could put you in that slot, I think.
Well, I was just
Could we
thinking
do
if
it
it
the
helps you
7th?
guys out, if we need to go to the 1st of August, we can, but,
Good?
your normal meeting's on
Monday.
July 11th?
Monday before
regular
Tuesday.
Our
the
meeting,
7th.
no, our meetings are the 1st and the 3rd Tuesdays.
It's on July 6th?
We're doing July.
Because of July 4th.
July 4th, so it would be, take July 4th, add 14, you're
Well,
at the
if-
18th.
If we could do the 18th, that'd be great, but if it's really hard for you guys, then.
No, I think we
push it
could
out
do
to
the
1st.
18th, because we have 5 Tuesdays in August, and we just need to get back to our ordinance work at some point, so, or time will slip away from us. So, does that work for everybody, July 18th, which is a third Tuesday?
Well, that'd be a regular meeting.
Yeah.
It would be a workshop meeting
Be a
normally.
regular, we'd have
Yeah.
a meeting already
Here anyway.
scheduled.
Right.
Okay, so I think it's fine with Dan, so we'll say, we'll set that at July 18th, okay? And what you should do, because we're still leaving the
You
hearing
said
open.
August 18th. You said July.
July.
I thought we said July
We're
18th.
doing it out July this,
I thought he
Okay,
asked
July?
for July 18th.
Okay.
As long as it's okay with the board, yeah.
Yeah, that would be normally a workshop meeting.
I keep getting messed up with the 5 Tuesdays in August.
So just so you know, you should have your information in,
We'll have it like the week before.
yeah, at least a week before. So that the board can look at it, the public can look at it. I don't, Brenda, the ordinance doesn't strictly say 12 days.
Next week.
Do you have enough time to get that all done?
Vacation, honestly, there.
I mean, 12 days is ideal, but that would be right around the corner.
Today's the 26th, we're giving them basically 3 weeks.
Right, but they have to get, because we have a public hearing, they're submitting new
I
evidence.
know, and that's why I'm
Yeah,
just saying, I'm asking if it's enough time to complete that whole list.
and get it to us,
Because otherwise, we'll
At
have to
least a week
continue
in
the hearing
advance.
again.
yeah.
That's the
What
public
about-
hearing.
What
Yeah,
about
so
July
you'd have to
20?
have the data in by, at the very latest, July 11th, but honestly, we would prefer it the Friday, the Thursday or
Yeah.
Friday
I'm
before.
just saying, you don't have a lot of time there.
Right.
And you're going through July 4th weekend,
What
I
about
mean, I'm
July?
not trying to, I'm just saying, I'd hate to have you guys come to us and not be complete with all the information we need.
Yeah.
And we have to continue again.
I mean, we could put it on the schedule for August 1st, and then we might have to call a special meeting for other people, but
What about
um,
July 25th?
July 25th? Is that
Or
a,
would that give us enough?
Select board.
that's a select board
What
meeting.
about the 24th?
If we want to try a special meeting on the 24th, we could, which is Monday. But we could also, I know August is getting full, the other option, I mean, you are first in the queue, so, or ahead in the queue,
I
I
have
should
no
say.
issue for a special meeting.
That's the July folder already, just so you know.
The August folder, you mean?
No, July.
Yeah, right. I'm not
We'll be
worried about
skipping
July,
that.
I'm worried about August 1st if he had to
Ah.
bump to that. So how about July 24th for everybody?
Is that Monday?
Yeah.
That's a Monday.
In addition to the other date that we just discussed?
No,
We're gonna have a
But we're
workshop
gonna have a
meeting on the
workshop that
18th.
date anyway, wouldn't we?
we have to decide whether we're gonna do that on the 18th or not. Do you wanna do one on the 18th and the 24th?
Oh,
Where are we
I
with,
can think of nothing nicer.
what?
What did you say, July which, 25th?
Fourth.
We could have, if we have a workshop on July 18th, we have the opportunity to maybe make some very simple ordinance changes to propose that aren't LD 2003 to propose to the select board before the August deadline, although it would be very tight.
It does say 12 days.
12 days, okay, so August, I think July 18th would be very tough because you'd have hardly any time.
Yeah.
The other option is to go to the third Tuesday in August, or to go to like August 2nd, the Wednesday after our meeting. So you really think August is gonna get
Can't get out
filled up?
past 2 days in a row.
I mean, if you put him first in the queue, he's in anyway, so.
Then I think we should give them August 1st.
Okay.
And if we have and if we have to have an overflow,
We just like to let you know,
right.
what we have coming in.
I think, and so you'd have to get the information to us 12 days in advance of August 1st, which would be a Thursday,
Which one?
yes.
And that works better for you than the 24th of July?
I think it would.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the semantics of it. I mean, yeah, the first is gonna work fine for us, but then we've got, say, 7 more applicants that come in for that meeting, and we push them off, now we're calling for a special meeting.
We're
for
gonna end
them.
up having a special meeting
Where
of
we
some
know
kind.
this is a big project, we've already done a special meeting for it tonight, why don't we continue with July 24th, if that works for the applicant? Then that's the
So
only thing on the
if it's
docket.
July 24th, then they get 12 days back from that. It's July 16th that they need to have the info
Which
in.
this, I
Which
believe
is
he's
2
saying-
weeks.
24th, 12 days back?
Yeah, no,
be
oh, actually,
12.
excuse me, yeah, I can't count.
July
12 minus 12, July 12th.
Does that give you enough time if we do the July 24th?
I'm just saying, you've gotta have
meeting?
all that stuff done.
By the 12th?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like, it's when you start messing with July 4th. No one works that week.
going once, going twice. You want July 24th, or do you want August 1st? The board's willing to do either.
Um,
24th
Is it on your end? Because the landscape plan we're gonna have by then, Brian said he'll have
This is
that.
going more than 7 minutes.
Well, because it's a public hearing, we need to settle the date. We can't.
So 12 days prior is on the 12th.
Yeah.
Well, the others are,
So that, that's 12 plus, that's really just like 12 days, basically, and they're not all working days.
It's up to the board, you guys, whatever's more convenient for you, I'm okay with either or.
I agree with Rolf. I hate to see you come back and and then you don't have all the information yet.
Well,
You can
I
always
wouldn't
ask
do
for a
it.
delay.
Right, we
You
would
can
have
do that.
but-
If you want us to set it the 24th, and then you can't get it in 12 days in advance, but we probably wouldn't be able to move it to August then. That's why I think we should kind of stick with August and be safe.
Well, let me ask you this, if we go to August and for some reason we need another meeting after that, can we schedule one 2 weeks or a week after that
Yes.
one? All right, fair enough.
I want you guys to be able to really
Yeah.
take your time with it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yep. Thank you for all your
Okay, so
feedback.
August 1st, we'll continue the hearing. We're good with that? It gives you another week, couple of
August
weeks.
1st at 5 o'clock?
August 1st, 5 o'clock. Yep, be prepared for, okay?
That's
all
the-
right.
That's the Bridgton Police Department's National Night Out,
Oh,
but,
yeah, that's why that's.
but that's okay. I don't have to, we've got the team going to that, so,
Okay,
yeah, it should be good.
August 1st it is.
Yep.
All right. Sorry that took a while, folks, but we do have to have the date when we continue, unless the applicant himself changes it. All right, next on the agenda is other, and I'd like, as I mentioned to the board, some board members last week at the site walk, we've had an unfilled alternate slot now for over a year, and was hoping it would get filled, but it didn't. And I would like to propose that we ask the select board to appoint Ken Gibbs as an alternate, and he would serve till next year, at which point there would be an election to try and fill that spot. And Mr. Gibbs, who is here, has expressed interest in being the alternate. Ms. Miller?
I think that's a very fine suggestion.
Okay. Do we want to do a motion or just general consent? Well, okay, there we go. Angie moves.
I'll second.
Second by Dan. All in favor? Okay, so what I'll do is, this is actually the select board's job.
Well, we have a representative now.
But we have,
Now,
and,
I'm in the public right now.
and so what I will do is, I will write up our recommendation and send it to the select board and ask that they make that appointment. Okay?
this way, right?
Does anybody have anything else they'd like to bring up? Mr. Harden?
So, a couple things, I know this is probably nothing for us, but I just wanna make sure of the process. Over the past week or so, I've had some general public come up to me with some concerns with how things get approved. For instance, we approved the change of use at the Sundown Lounge, to put up that acoustic barrier in the back, and that they had told us that they were only gonna do acoustical type music for that. Within a few days of that being done, they're now advertising karaoke at the bar. Is that not acoustical? If it's outside, I run a karaoke business, or used to, or my
Can be
kid does
loud.
most of it. Big difference between somebody sitting on a guitar and somebody playing. Do they just come to you at that point? Do they come back to us? And the other one I had,
Were we specific in our
well, it
approval
was,
that was for
Yes.
acoustic music only?
Yes, we
We did-
were,
well-
on the record.
We said, I believe what it said is the intent was acoustical
But is there an
music.
entertainment
And then they'll
license
go
with
through
the
an
selectmen?
entertainment license, but that is not specific. That is specific to hours,
yeah,
But it wasn't,
days of the
Are they doing
week.
karaoke outside?
that I don't know. I'm just,
okay.
Well, the approval, just so what we need to do is here is the approval was for outdoor music for certain, anytime, for certain, any day, for certain hours. And the intent was the intent was acoustical music. Now, strictly what Brenda would do for procedure is she would look at the findings of fact, and she would see what's in there, and that would drive it, what she would do.
yeah.
Ms. Miller?
I agree with Dan's concern, and I think that that's one of the things that we have been a little lax with, and it's easy to do that because we really try to help applicants So if they tell us what the intention is, I think that that is a specific statement. We intend to have acoustic music only, understood, and that it should be that.
As
And-
long as that's in the findings of facts written that way.
I'm saying if it isn't, then we're trying too hard to be nice, and we're going to have to firm that up a little bit. It's been
Well-
my understanding
Right.
that.
Ms.
My-
Miller, can I just interrupt for 1 minute? We have to follow process, and it's actually
Yes, I
Brenda's
understand
call.
that, but there's
Right.
also the statement that says that anything that's recorded in the record and said at the meeting is official. And therefore, I think
But
we
if
have
we
a
don't
way
make,
to do that.
if we don't make that a condition, I don't watch every tape that
Then I
goes
would
through.
like- I don't want
Was
to
that
either. I would like to just say that we should use this as a learning experience so that we err on the side of being a little bit more firm than just being pleasant and nice and smiling.
Right. And
Yeah,
that-
I mean-
That's what I mean, that's why you would have to make sure as a board that
Right.
if that's all you want them to
Well, now that it's
do,
been called
that
to my
it's gonna
attention, I'm
be
going to
a
pay attention
condition,
to it. All
that
right.
that's gonna be
So
specific
this
enough.
is, and we shouldn't get into making this decision, because it's not a decision, but this, I understand what you're saying is for the future,
Yeah.
we might need to be more detailed in some cases. What it says is in the findings, and this is in the findings, proposed hours of live outdoor music are 4 PM to 10 PM. The intended music is acoustical type with minimal amplification as opposed to a full band. That's what was committed to us.
Yeah.
So
So-
we don't want to dive into.
No, and that's why I was asking the question was, like I said, people had come to me and asked me about it because they said, hey, you guys approved it for this, but they're doing this, which I know karaoke requires maximum amplification. I just refer them to Brendan, not back to us.
Bingo.
Correct?
That's what I was just gonna say.
Right.
The
Just
second
confirming
one
that.
Have to
was-
go to Brenda,
Yeah.
and Brenda has to make the call unless
Yep.
she, as to
So I just wanna make
whether-
sure I'm doing procedurally, that
Yep.
I'm just gonna refer them, I don't wanna just keep sending people to you
Right.
if they need to come to
Sure you
us
do.
or that.
Dan, for that
No, that's
clarification.
exactly what
And the
I
other
did.
question I
I
got.
do think that
But-
the statement from the
Can we-
findings
could we-
is very
Dee,
very
could you
much.
wait to be recognized? Somebody else has their hand up.
I'm going home, all right? I really am. I'm so
But just
sorry.
wait, let other
I've
people
spent-
be recognized.
And I raised my hand, but this was sort of an open, informal conversation.
Ms. Miller,
And
other people are
I-
trying to speak. Just, you can speak, but Angie's been trying to be recognized for 5 minutes.
Please,
So
be
go
my
ahead.
guest.
Well, I had asked Dan if, they had stated earlier if they were only gonna do acoustical outside, and then I had asked if we knew if they were doing karaoke inside. Is there anything in their license or permit that would not allow them to do karaoke inside and have the acoustical out? There's nothing in that?
Not unless we do a findings of facts as we were just discussing.
Okay.
If it's very specific in there, that this is what, all they're gonna be able to do, that's all they can do.
Gotcha.
If it just says the intention, kinda leaving it wide open.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
but-
Yeah, like if they do it inside, I don't
Yeah.
have a problem with that,
Right.
because
Yeah.
you can close the doors, you can do
Yep.
all that. And the second part of my question was, again, I think it's the same answer. Again, I got this question raised to me 2 days ago at an event that I did, here in town, was after the Music on Main event on Saturday, I guess there was some live entertainment down on the corner of Main Street that went on till about 11:45 at night. That I don't think was scheduled, it just kind of was like.
Just
what do you- Yeah, it just kind of happened, but it went till almost midnight. Again, I told them, I think what they need to do is go see you, or at least at that point, if it's that late at night, call the PD,
Correct.
who then will either handle it or they'll get you involved.
Okay.
'Cause
So I
mean,
just wanted to put on record, because people keep coming to me and asking me these questions
Yeah.
about the entertainment, I'm like,
The
it
best
really
way
becomes
to-
the CEO or the PD.
Yeah, the best
Yeah.
way to do that is, like you said, refer them back to me.
Yep,
Then it kinda keeps you being unbiased or whatever.
okay.
Ms. Miller?
No, I think Angie had a very good suggestion inside, and I don't think Dan has to face the public scrutiny on these things. I certainly believe that if someone says my intention, it means my plan, and it can be a little bit more specific than you're giving it credit for being. And I think that the language you stated from the findings should cover this and keep it acoustic. It went into some detail, talked about no orchestra or no band or whatever. I think that that has covered it, and that we're bending over backwards to cover ourselves, but I don't think that we should
Okay.
worry, because I think we've covered ourselves. Your language is very much more complete than, well, I think we're going to do acoustic.
I understand, it's gonna be up to Brenda
I understand
to
that, but
interpret if acoustical music and karaoke are similar in terms of impact. That's her job.
depends on how good the voices are, right,
I'm
Brenda?
confused. I'm sorry, isn't the select board responsible for entertainment license?
Yes.
And they put terms and conditions on the entertainment licenses.
So those terms and conditions, just to clarify a little bit, those terms and conditions usually come from the department heads. So we do impact statements just like we do for, for your
Right.
projects. Whenever we have an entertainment license, the department heads have to fill out an impact statement with any concerns.
Then it goes back to select board,
And then
right?
it goes back to select board. So they'll see, like, I've had a couple where I've sent them back and I've said, they weren't approved from the planning board, they need planning board approval prior to getting this license. So then the select board go with what I recommend because they know it needs planning board approval.
So you would make the recommendation?
Correct.
Okay, I'm just saying, this is, ooh,
Yeah, we're
this
getting
is
in,
just.
we're getting in,
it's all-
going down
there's too many
the
fingers
rat
that are in
hole
the
too
pie.
much.
There's a lot of fingers in the pot.
Left home.
Okay.
But yeah, so
Move
Dana,
adjourned.
Motion to adjourn, second by Mr. Mattson, second by Mr. Harden. You are a real problem causer tonight, Mr. Harden. All in favor, please raise your hand, 5-0.